everybody. My name's Chris. I'm the lead pastor here at Riverbank Church. What an honor it is to have you here. For all those tuning in on Facebook, YouTube, all those other streaming spaces, thanks for being with us. Church Online, what an honor it is to have you with us. Just make sure you let us know where you're viewing from. It's super fun to hear that. I know last week we had people from Las Vegas. I know there are people from Florida, other places. Thank you. Thanks for tuning in. And we're going to continue our series this week. It's called Same Values, New Normal. And we're just kind of unpacking what it is to what Riverbank Church is all about. And with that said, I will say this, and these are just really great pictures you're going to see of people from our church who have given their lives to Jesus, or their life has been changed by Jesus over the years here. And that's the heart and soul of this series. This is all about our hope in Jesus, that you and me, through Jesus Christ, can have eternal hope and hope now. And what a story Riverbank Church is all over the country. I have friends, pastor friends, who say, man, you guys, what you're doing in Vermont, New Hampshire, and New England is really inspiring and encouraging. I know we have viewers from all over the country and world now, and you get to be a part of this as well. And I'm just so grateful to be a small part of it myself. And, you know, as we are in this series is all about a rescue mission. Like this, all these lives, all these people who've been impacted, it's all because of the rescue mission. It's about that one message of hope in Jesus Christ. And I hope that today's message, we're going to kind of unpack further our values. I hope for you, it reassures you that you too get to be a part of this. So if you have your Bibles, will you do me a favor? Will you turn to Luke chapter 10? Luke chapter 10. And we've been celebrating Riverbank Church and celebrating our values. Last week we talked about love and what it is to love other people. We talked about the church and what the church is so that we can really have a definition point to work from. Today, this value is one of those values that we've stood by since day one as a church. It's really our true north. It's who we are and why we do what we do. It's really this strong focus point of Riverbank Church. But speaking to now, the times we live in, a lot's changed over the last few months. And I just can't believe it's been like 13, 14 weeks of church online. Now, I'm good with that because I think God is doing something crazy cool and unique. And I know many of us are just can't wait to regather in person. And you know that we're taking those small steps and we're being real slow to move in that direction. And honestly, we can't, in regards to the state anyway right now, regather on the weekends, but it's been a weird season for so many people. And it's like, think about this, how much has changed. The way you shop has changed, right? The way you shop has changed. Just think about that. You go to a grocery store now, they probably have different setup. I know I was in a grocery store just the other day, and you have your 6 feet that you have to stand between the other customer, and my son was with me, and one of the associates at the grocery store was like, is he with you? And I was like, yes. And of course, I had to have the mask on, right? This is a part of the weird time we live in. You got to wear the mask, right? Everywhere you go. Like if you had told me a year ago that you have to wear a mask everywhere you go, I'd have laughed at you and say, like, what is it? Like Halloween, trick or treat, every day of the year. It's just one of those realities of our new normal. This is the way things are, and it's changed so much. Think about us. The way you're entertained has changed so much. I mean, how many of us have even been to a movie? No, we stream all our movies right now. Entertainment has shifted, and it will. Like, I don't know what it's going to be like on the other side of COVID, but entertainment from here on out has changed forever because social distancing has changed our social habits, and the mask is involved with that, right? That is just a real weird thing. I think about the mask too, how much this has changed the way we see people. When you're out and about, the face is like the window to the soul of the person, and yet we walk around covering everything up. We don't really see the person or know the person. It's kind of weird. But yet that is the time we live in. This season ultimately is challenging all of our comforts of how we've done life and how we've engaged relationally and been entertained. And let's face it, it has changed church significantly. I mean, we've been having our small gatherings, and those are awesome to see everybody, but we have to do it outside. So let's just air it. It's weird. It's a strange time. And what happens, all of this, all the things that we live in, can easily, watch this, distract us away from the main thing. And that's where we are here in Luke chapter 10, a profound story of how people can be distracted away from the most important thing. So Luke chapter 10, I'm going to read it. And then what I want to do is I want to just highlight for you and me how we can not be so distracted, but we can be focused and on who we should be focused on. And this is a core value here at Riverbank Church, and we'll unpack that. So Luke chapter 10, let's pick it up in verse 38. We'll read 38 to 42. It says in verse 38, as Jesus and the disciples continued on their way to Jerusalem, they came to a certain village where a woman named Martha welcomed him. Now, here's what I want you to do. Whatever streaming platform you're on, I just want you to just write the name Martha out there. Just let us know you're paying attention. Just write Martha, because Martha welcomed Jesus into her home. So Jesus comes to this house and is welcomed in. Verse 39, her sister Mary. Now, here's what I want you to do. Are you paying attention? Write Mary in there. Write Mary's name in comments. So we have Martha and Mary. And Jesus is in this home. And her sister Mary, watch this, sat at the Lord's feet listening to what he taught. But Martha was distracted. She was distracted by the big dinner she was preparing. And she came to Jesus and she said, Lord, doesn't it seem unfair to you that my sister just sits here while I do all the work? Tell her to come and help me. I like Martha. She's like real direct. Tell her to come and help me. Watch what Jesus says, verse 41. But the Lord said to her, my dear Martha, you are worried and upset over all these details. There is only one thing. So whatever platform you're on, Church Online, I want you to write that in, one thing. Just write that in there in your comments. We're going to get to this. But I want you to know we have Mary, we have Martha, and then we have one thing. And Jesus said there's only one thing worth being concerned about. Mary has discovered it, and it will not be taken away from her. What a powerful story. What a powerful story. You see Martha, this great hostess, this woman who opens her doors and her home to Jesus. Now that would be cool, wouldn't it? To be able to say, hey, Jesus, come on to my house. That would be so cool. And that's what she does. She welcomes him in. But what we notice, though, if you look at it, in verse 38, as Jesus and the disciples continued on their way to Jerusalem, they came to the village where the woman named Martha welcomed him into her home. Very welcoming. Very hospitable, very much like rolled out the red carpet for Jesus. But watch in verse 40. It says, but Martha was what? Distracted. Martha was distracted by what? A big dinner that she's preparing for Jesus. So she's like, Jesus, I'm making a meal for Jesus, right? She's so preoccupied with the meal she's making for Jesus that she kind of forgets that Jesus is in the house. She's distracted by a really good thing. Now, I think for many of us, how this works out is that many of us right now, like maybe you're distracted by the whole COVID thing, the mask, right? I've heard people say, I'm not wearing a mask. I'm not going to do it. Or, you know what? I'm going to wear my mask everywhere. And then they become so focused on the situation that they forget the person that they should be living for. You see, Martha, she was so focused, she even came to the point she's not happy with her sister. So here's what I want you to do. I want you, whatever platform you're on, I want you to write this down. Martha was what? She was distracted away from Jesus. She wasn't focused on Jesus. She was distracted away from Jesus. She was looking upon other things. Was it a good thing? Absolutely. She's making a meal for Jesus Christ who's in her house. That's a good thing, but ultimately she's missing out on the one in whom she should be focused on. She's not focused on Jesus. She's focused on doing something for Jesus, and she's distracted. The word distracted is interesting. In the original language, it means she was drawn away or she was over-occupied. Watch this one. She's too busy or she was taken away. Have you ever felt like you've been taken away from other things other than Jesus? Like maybe right now in your life, you're just taken away by the news. Maybe the news cycles have you so captivated and captured that it's become a huge distraction away from Jesus. Or maybe it's the time we live in, the volatility, and we're so focused in on problem solving that we forget that the ultimate problem solver is right there for us. You see, we can so easily become distracted even by good things. And that was Martha, distracted by a really good thing. It's okay to be a diligent worker. It's okay to be concerned about things going on. But when all the things around us take us away from the one whom we should be focused in on, that's a problem. You see, maybe for you, to speak straight about the church, maybe for you right now, a distraction is like, I can't believe we're not gathering on Sunday in person. We should be figuring that out. And I know this is a real distraction for some people. You're missing out on Jesus. You're so focused in on the crowd that you're forgetting about the one in whom we're supposed to be gathering for. And he's right here. Each and every week online, we get to point to Jesus. We get to put the big spotlight on Jesus, the center of attention, the King of Kings. Meanwhile, we get distracted away from that, and it's easy. Maybe for you, it's preferences. In church, this happens all the time. Maybe your preferences of how things should be done or would want them to be. And it's kind of tricky right now because all our preferences have been thrown out the door, haven't they, because of COVID? We've had to improvise and create environments and experiences online that are unique. Can I just say this? Don't let your preferences distract you away from the one in whom you should be focused in on. Don't be a Martha here. Be focused in on the one who's right in the house. His name is Jesus. You see, the temptation is to be drawn away from the one that matters. The temptation is to see all the things the things that can take us away from Jesus. Right now there's a lot of things that can easily draw us away from Jesus. And I'd encourage you to examine your heart, examine your life a little bit. Are you being distracted? Think about this. What a season we live in. I was just thinking about this week. I have a unique rhythm and schedule. Actually, my life is a little bit more busy. I'm doing a lot of consulting and mentoring and encouraging with other church leaders around the country. I have more people that I'm engaging with on a side. I'm doing a lot more engaging with you and lives, and there's a lot vying for time. And then in addition to that, I have 2 teenage boys and a wife that I love. And the truth is I have a lot of things going on, and I could be drawn away from the one in whom I'm supposed to be pointing everybody towards. And I just encourage you to consider this. Like maybe this time we're in, maybe it's not a time to be drawn away from Jesus, distracted away from him. You got some time to focus in and be drawn to Jesus instead of drawn away from him to the distractions. So there's a second character in the story. Of course, we just were talking about Martha, where she was distracted away from Jesus. But let's look at her sister Mary. In verse 39, let's go back to that. Verse 39 says this, that her sister Mary, this is so powerful. Watch what she's doing. We saw Martha. She's busy. She's distracted, trying to fix Jesus a meal. She's so preoccupied, she's missing Jesus. But Mary sat at the Lord's feet, listening to what he taught. He was right there. She knew it, and she's right at his feet. So Mary, she's not distracted away from Jesus, but Mary's focused on Jesus. Here's what I want you to do, whatever platform you're on. I want you to go ahead and write in the comments, focused on Jesus. You see, Mary had the right focus. She wasn't distracted away from the one, the center of attention. She was not distracted to a good thing. She was drawn, she was focused in on the main thing, and that's Jesus. The word sitting here is interesting. And what it kind of conveys when it says that Mary sat at the Lord's feet, in another translation it says she was sitting at the Lord's feet. It's the same idea. It's the same idea that that would be conveyed that a student is sitting at the feet of a teacher. It's the same idea. Captivated, drawn in, listening, taking notes. You know what I'm saying? Have you ever sat in the room with a captivating teacher? Someone who's just like, it's almost like they're a fire hydrant of wisdom coming at you, and you're just like drawn in. That's what's happening here. Mary is focused on the main thing, and that's Jesus. She's focused, she's at his feet. She's fully captivated by Jesus Christ and his message. Whereas Martha was distracted at doing a bunch of nice things for the one in whom she should be focused in on. You see, she was so focused on Jesus, Mary, that she had no room or time for distractions. Think about that for you and me. You and me are forced right now in this time with all the things going on in the world. We have a moment to be focused in isolation to the feet of Jesus. What an opportunity. And I hope maybe you're making the most of this opportunity. Riverbank Church, you and me as a church, collectively, we cannot take our eyes off of Jesus. We can't be distracted away from Jesus. As a church, we can do a lot of really good things. Think about this. Throughout our time in this season, we've done food distribution. That's awesome. We've helped people go to the grocery stores. We've provided groceries. We've helped people pay their bills. I mean, we've literally stepped in. I'm so proud of you, church. But listen, those are all distractions if the whole goal is not to sit at the feet of Jesus. Mary sat at the feet of Jesus, engaged with him, not distracted by all the good things. You see, the problem with Martha was, again, she was drawn away. She was not focused in on Jesus. She missed the opportunity. Yes, he's in her house, but she missed it. She was so busy cooking up a good meal that she missed that he was right there. You know, it's interesting. Jesus was in the house. He was in the conversation, right? But what happened for Martha, Jesus just became an act of busyness. And that can happen with me and with you too. Like, we can acknowledge Jesus. We can recognize him and be so busy about the work of Jesus and easily forget that he's the one we're working for. So let me ask you a question. Okay, big question here. And I'm going to ask our hosts at all platforms to write this question in too, to reinforce it. Are you distracted or are you focused on Jesus? Again, let me ask you this. I'm going to ask our hosts to write these in our comments too. Are you distracted or are you focused on Jesus? Because that's an easy thing for us to be. We could be so distracted from things that are real distractions. Like, this could be a distraction for me. I'm being honest with you. It's uncomfortable wearing this around town. It's a distraction. I can get so focused in on wearing the mask that I forget, you know what? Let me just wear the mask and honor Jesus. And when I'm wearing this, I'm loving people and honoring him at the same time. It's a win-win. And not be distracted by the discomfort of this. Pick up in verse 41. Watch this. But the Lord said to her, my dear Martha. Remember, Martha's distracted. And Jesus calls her out and says, you are worried and you're upset over all these details. You're worried about all these details. I don't know what your mask might be. It might be the news. It might be a work situation. It might be all the other things going on in the world. There's a lot of things going on, and it's not that we ignore them. But are we being distracted and worried and upset over all the details? Watch what Jesus says. There's only one thing worth being concerned about. One thing. Now, this might step on toes, but the one thing is not your social justice mission, okay? Although that might be a good thing, it's not the one thing. The one thing is not your safety and security. The one thing, watch this, it's Jesus. The one thing is Jesus, because he says Mary has discovered it. She's at my feet. She gets it. She's focused on the one thing where there needs to be focus. With that said, I want you to write this down. There is nothing that is sacred except Jesus. Nothing. There's nothing more sacred than Jesus. There's nothing more important than Jesus. There's nothing worth being distracted over than Jesus. For us here at Riverbank Church, this is a value that we've had since day one, that nothing is more sacred than Jesus. He alone is our true north. He alone is our focus point. And that applies to us as individuals as well as a collection of people here at Riverbank Church. I will sit at the feet of Jesus. I will not get so distracted that I forget about Jesus. It's all about Jesus. I will embrace the presence of Jesus. I will fall to the feet of Jesus. I will abandon the distractions. I will turn away from the things that are pulling me away from him, and I will focus in on the one who matters. That's Jesus. And maybe you're watching here today and you're like, Chris, this is crazy. I never thought about the significance and the importance of Jesus. I'm so distracted, easily distracted. Listen, I want to continue this conversation on Monday at 7 p.m. I'd encourage you to hang out with me. It's called Beyond the Message. Come and hang out, and I want to continue to unpack this a little bit further. But maybe you're watching right now, and this whole idea that Jesus is the center of it all, that Jesus is the primary, is a new thing to you, a new idea. You're like, Chris, what do I do with this? Well, I want to encourage you right now to consider what I would say is the greatest opportunity and the most important time that we have together right now. See, the Bible's real clear that you and me we have a serious problem internally. We have sin. We've all told lies. We've all stolen things. We've all done wrong things. And the Bible says that is sin, wrongdoing. And that sin causes separation between us and God. That causes you and me to go and run to the distractions all the time. And that causes you and me to go and get into the weeds of the distractions. That's called sin nature. And we all have it. We're all tempted by the distractions. The Bible says this: without our sin removed, without our sin taken away, we have a problem, a sin problem, and the sin problem has eternal effects. Did you know, listen, that you and me were created in the image of God? That means we have eternity written on our hearts. You have eternity written in and on you. It's in you. You know this, that this life is all temporary. You know this. The Bible says without your sin forgiven, though, without your sin removed, you face eternity separated from God in a literal place called hell. My friends, that's a problem. You see, sin causes separation from God, not just now, but eternally. But I'm here to tell you that there's a solution to the problem, and his name is Jesus, the one we've been speaking about today. Jesus Christ is the solution to our sin problem. Let me ask you this: do you know him? Well, Chris, I know about him. I went to Sunday school. I've been to church. No. I'm not asking if you know about him. We all know about Jesus. But do you know him? Here's what it works out like. God loved you so much that he sent Jesus to come and live a sinless, perfect life and die for you in your place. He died on a Roman cross. He paid the price for our sin, our wrongdoing. And 3 days later, Jesus conquered death and hell. He erupted from the grave to give you and me hope for everlasting life in heaven. Do you know that Jesus? If you're watching right now, you're like, Chris, no, I want to know him. No, I want to say yes to this Jesus. I want to respond now to him. I need forgiveness of sin. I want this promise of everlasting life. I want to say yes to Jesus. I want to respond now. If that's you, here's what I want you to do. I want you to text respond now to 94,000. Just do that right now. It's super easy. Take your device out. Maybe you're watching in a place where you don't have a device. Here's what I'm going to ask our host to do. Just put a link right there, whatever platform you're streaming from, and there's a link you can click right there. You text respond now to 94,000. There will be a link that'll come up right on your phone or your device. Just click that. And here's what'll happen. It'll take you to a form, a simple form, and I want to get your information so we can send you a gift. It's a gift to help you take a step in this faith, to say yes to Jesus, to respond now. Hey, God bless you guys. I'm so thankful that you've chosen to join us this day. Jesus is the only one who's sacred here. Let's not be distracted by all of the things that can captivate us. Let's be merry. Let's fall to the feet of Jesus.